Welcome on in, you rascals. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Listen, the New York Knicks, their season, it comes to an end. And now it makes the petty rankings very easy. Very easy the rest of the way. Basically, here's how it goes for old Tobes, all right? The team I least want to win the NBA championship is obviously the Boston Celtics, 100%. So much so that I could even stomach Mark Cuban winning a championship again. So just to give everybody that type of idea of where my hate watching is at, because that's what's left. And to anybody who is like, oh, you sound like a loser, you hate watching. Hate watching is great. I don't know what you guys are talking about. If you want to talk about one of the entertaining things in sports that just is really undervalued, rooting for your rivals to fail is fantastic. And you can sit here and guffaw about, oh, well, you guys didn't make it as far. Yeah, but we know what you really want. Like, you could sit here and you could say, like, I'm looking at the Knicks fan here today, right? And I would have had a real conundrum on my petty rankings if it would have been a Knicks-Celtics Eastern Conference Finals. I'd have been like, ugh. Can I root for the arena to have a blackout so we cannot have a game? Like, what are the things I could root for here that'll have no great desire that will make me feel good? And I guess in that case, I would have pushed slightly towards Boston just to make the finals, and then anybody has to bounce them, because I just can't stomach how this NBA national media treats the Knicks. Like, they treat them with just such different reverence than everybody else. And it's just so unwarranted. Like, they have done nothing. They're still showing you the same Willis Reed highlights from the 70s. They have the same four people at the games. Now Ben Stiller has gotten in on the act. And I'm watching the end of this broadcast, and I got to tell you, if they're Indiana Tobin, whoever that is, I would be incensed with how they treated the end of that game, because Indiana is a 6 seed going to the Eastern Conference Championship, and I get you. If you want to be a rat bastard about it, yes, they've gotten some breaks. They've gotten no Giannis Antetokounmpo their entire first-round series, with a side and no Damian Lillard for half of this series. This series, the Knicks go up 2-0. They lose OG Anunoby. Mitchell Robinson was Kurt Angled by Joel Embiid. They had no Julius Randle already, and then now Jalen Brunson fractures his hand for good measure. Now, don't let that escape the fact that the New York Knicks, in a Game 7 on their floor, did allow a team to shoot nearly 80% in the first half before all the cataclysmic, you lose your star, and just to add more injury to insult. Don't ignore the fact that for all the marbles in your, mystical building, the Mecca, you go out there and you allowed a team to shoot 76+% for a half, all the money on the line, and that's what you do. And I don't know what you guys shot OG Anunoby up with. He did not look right. You shouldn't have made that guy go out there and play. What a bunch of false hope that you built in. You were hoping it was going to lead to some other crazy moment that you could show 70 years from now to talk about that time that maybe you made the Eastern Conference Finals. And so, yeah, you could sit here and say, oh, well, we made it here. But, yeah, all right, good for you. Hey, congratulations on that 2 seed. Raise a banner. We made the 2 seed, and we won one more playoff game than we did last year. Congratulations, everybody. You really nailed it. You see what I mean when I say petty watching is great? Because it is fun. But they're sitting here in this broadcast, and they're like, Doris and Breen, who I know works for the Knicks, and JJ Redick, who I thought we were done with. I thought somebody was going to hire him and take him off my broadcast. But they're sitting here and they're applauding the New York Knicks. I'm like, you're applauding the New York Knicks and you're just ignoring the fact that this 6 seed high-powered offense is going to the NBA Finals, or is going to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's just, it was like a blip. They didn't even think to talk about it on the broad, like barely. All they could think about is they've dealt with so much. I'm like, yeah, a lot of guys have dealt with. Guess what? They got to this round because they got to take on a Sixers team that had their star playing with half a face and half a knee. Like, the injuries have been a huge factor in these playoffs. Yes, for them. Would they have won with it without it? You can say yes, you can say no. It's a pretty even even series. It was a pretty even series. Like, you're not going to sit here and tell me that it was like overwhelmingly the reason that they lost that series. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that for them. And anybody who wants me to sit here and feel bad for their team, cry me a river, dude. Lose your leading scorer in an NBA Finals game and then come talk to me. What a heartbreak that is to lose injury. You know, and it was interesting. Jimmy Butler's agent, who, I mean, he loves Tom Thibodeau. Jimmy Butler's agent loves Tom Thibodeau, but he had commented the other night because Bob Myers, who I also think really stinks, they got to kick his ass off the desk. But he said if the Knicks don't win, it'll be because of health. They fought their way with who they've lost. It's as commendable as any team I've ever seen in the NBA. To which, appropriately, his agent goes, the 2020 NBA Finals, they won this game in the finals. And Jimmy Butler was playing a game where it started Duncan Robinson, who was really in his head, Tyler Hero, 19, Jay Crowder, Myers Leonard. Like, and Jimmy Butler, of course, just an absolute, I mean, just demon in this performance. He was so good. You know, I mean, and this is like, I'm like, damn you, Bernie Lee. You're tugging on heartstrings. But he was such a monster in those performances where he really had nobody around him. And he's going up against, you know, LeBron James and Anthony Davis against the eventual NBA champions in the finals. And I'm supposed to sit here and be like, oh, my God, the Knicks, it's so commendable. It's so commendable what they did. Oh, blah, blah. Shut up. It's not. Is it that commendable? Like, really? I mean, like, it's great. Congratulations. But you know, Jimmy Butler, no Goran Dragic in that series. A very hindered Bam Adebayo when he came back in the back half of that series. One arm, basically. But 40 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. And that wasn't even that wasn't even the meme game where he's hunched over, where he gives you the other 35-point triple-double. Then remember Pat Riley, of course, got into hot water because somebody asked him a what-if question about that. He goes, well, there's always going to be that asterisk.
Hey, Pat, I wanted to know how you took in the NBA Finals. Game 1, you lose 2 of your guys with Goran and Bam getting banged up. What was going through your mind as these guys are trying to fight to get back on the court? They do get out there. And I guess, is there any second guessing in your own self that, well, what if we did have them for the entire thing?
You can't do that. You just can't, you know, and it's happened to me in my career before at the moment of truth. In 83, we lost, you know, Irvin Johnson, Bob McAdoo, Norm Nixon, you know, the first 2 games of the finals against Philadelphia, and we got swept. You know, in 1989, we lost Irvin Johnson and Byron Scott to strained hamstrings, and we got swept. You hope you can get there, you know, through the regular season, through the playoffs, through all those medieval moments, draconian moments in the playoffs when bodies are starting to hit the floor. And, you know, the want on the part of both teams to win, you know, takes the physicality to another level. And mentally, you got to be ready for that too. So I hate to talk about it. It's an excuse. You know, I would have liked to win without Goran and Bam, you know, at 100%. But we just didn't have enough. Jimmy, you know, is Superman. You know, the 2 games that he had were 2 of the best games ever that I've seen in the finals. The 2 triple doubles to get us there, playing 47, 48 minutes. So, yes, you know, don't make me go back and do that because, you know, I'll think about it, you know, all winter and lament if only. And sometimes that's what you're dealt in the NBA Finals, and you got to try to find a way to overcome. If we had maybe more veterans or another player, you know, we had a lot of young guys that all of a sudden really had to step up and do double time and double down on their games and their performances. And so it's not easy. But yes, I'd like to see what it would be like with everybody whole. But, you know, we'll get that shot again. And I'm just so proud of what our guys did. And we didn't, I'll tell you another thing, you know, the narrative about the end, the Lakers were great. They were a great team. and they have the greatest player in the game today in LeBron and Anthony Davis, in a cast of, real veteran players that knew what to do at those moments. So, they beat us fair and square. They were the best team, but there's always going to be that asterisk, that caveat. If we had Bam and Goran was our leading scorer in the playoffs at 100%. Could have gone to the seventh game. Or whatever. But thank you for reminding me to get the best. And I appreciate that. But I'm not going to look back on it. I'm just going to look at all the positive things and get Goran healthy and Bam healthy and bring everybody back and try to add to the mix.
This man's going to have my credentials revoked. Between the Jimmy Butler.
Keep your mouth shut.
And then the asterisk comment.
There's always going to be that asterisk.
Anyway, I'll just stick to saying, hey, what did you think of such and such a season? That'll be how it goes. You know what? The other time that I asked Pat Riley, when I had my only one-on-one with Pat Riley, God, aura, dude. But that one also got national headlines. So we got a streak going with old Riles. But it was interesting because actually, just as a quick aside of that, before I get to my petty rankings, Jimmy's agent was then, somebody said, Bubble Jimmy was insane. Somebody said to him, Daniel Childs. And there's a 3 in the middle there, Daniel. And he just goes, boop, boop. He puts an asterisk and goes, is. And you just look at some of these performances that this man has had. And that's the big question that he'd have to ask themselves. Pat Riley was asked at the press conference, do you think Jimmy Butler can be a 1A? But those NBA finals were crazy. The most insane basketball I've ever seen him play is the 56 points against the Bucks. That was such a good performance that his 28 points in the first quarter was the best basketball I've ever seen anybody play. And then he went on and added 28 more points to that. So yeah, that is the most insane game I've ever seen Jimmy Butler play. But even, 47 points in Boston Game 6 to force Game 7 in 2022, because I didn't think Jimmy looked physically right in that series. And somehow he was able to will that and bring it to within a shot of the NBA Finals. Losing him sucked. So, I'm not making excuses for the Miami Heat. I just sit back and I'm just like, yeah, this was an awful year because most starting lineups you've ever had, you weren't healthy enough and you put yourself in the worst possible position by thinking, playing no bigs and we'll just go and beat the 1 seed again. And the unfortunate thing that everybody had pointed out is maybe if you would have gotten some things together and things would have broken your way and, then you would have built up to this point. That's why you got to put some more emphasis on the regular season. That's why you have to put yourself in a place. And look, this is a pace, and mind you, right now, I'm sure any reasonable person could sit here and they'd be like, "Hey, dude, the Heat finished the exact, finished with one less loss than the team that was in front of them." Yeah, but the problem is they had 2 head-to-head matchups against Indy and against Philly, and their seasons were basically ended by T.J. McConnell and Nick Batum. So, yeah, I get you. We could sit here and maybe we're going to overanalyze on what this regular season was, which was, a colossal disappointment. But you're not going to sit here and it's not like it's going to be a thought where they're going to be like, oh, it's leaps and bounds away. Now, is it the big question is Indiana got this actual chance against Boston? Look, they're a crazy-ass team. They score like wild. They got size. They got a star point guard. They got pieces. They're deep. They got some things, but, they were also in a dogfight with, to go back to it, a pretty banged-up Knicks team. And this Celtics team has not had they've had a pretty easy breezy ride. So I don't love their chances against the Celtics, but the way the Celtics have played inconsistently, could they get a couple games? I think so. But I don't think that they're a real threat to beat them. I don't think so. But maybe I'll be proven wrong. My petty rankings the rest of the way, as an aside, by the way, As just looking at this box score right now, TJ McConnell, 11 of 14, 22 points, killed Miami. Unbelievable. That was the that one was the killer. That one was the killer. That one, and of course the play-in with Jimmy trying to gut through on the MCL. By the way, just getting back to my point, Jimmy's agent is saying that he is still that guy. I really hope so. I hope so, because this guy, it's so crazy. You look at Jimmy's resume as a Heat player in the postseason, and he's got 4 of the top 10 scoring performances in Heat history. The other 4 belong to Dwayne. LeBron has 2 of them. Up until, LeBron had the highest, up until Jimmy had his Bucks performance. Then if you outstretch it to 20, which you kind of have to do to 21 because there's a tie at the bottom of 38 points, you have 8 of the top 20 Jimmy, 9 of the top 20 Dwayne, 3 of the top 20 LeBron, and then Tim Hardaway technically is there as well. Those top 21 performances. That's the lowest, 38 points. Tim Hardaway, Game 7 against the New York Knicks. But the crazy thing about this for Jimmy is, he has 8. He has 8 of his top playoff career scoring performances are all with Miami, and but he's never scored 40 in a regular season game for the Heat. Never has never done it. It's pretty wild. It's a pretty wild thing. But he's needed. As Pat Riley said, he's the needle mover. And, you look at a guy, are they really able, this Heat team, to hand the offensive keys over to Bam Adebayo? I don't know. We've never really seen it for Bam in the playoffs. We've seen him have great performances of, like, double-doubles, triple-doubles, but, like, being the scoring burden. We've seen some good games, but we haven't necessarily seen, like, oh, man, unconscious, take this game over. We've seen runs in the fourth quarter for Bam, for sure. But is he capable of any of those where can he lift this up? I don't know yet. I don't know if he's at that point yet. So these are all the arguments that Jimmy and his agent are going to have in these negotiations. Anyway, if you're going to watch the playoffs the rest of the way, here's how I rank it, okay? Because tonight I'm doing this right as Game 7, Nuggets and Wolves. Now, these are the least on my petty rankings. So whoever wins this game, I'm essentially rooting to win the NBA championship. Because the only thing, and I guess I'm rooting for Denver to repeat because I have respect for Denver. Michael Malone's a little annoying, but they're great. And I kind of just tip my cap to them. The Heat can't figure them out. I don't have a lot of animosity towards them. 1A is Minnesota. The only thing you really have is a Jimmy Butler argument because it's like Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins will both have championships and Jimmy Butler has none. But it's pretty hard to root against Anthony Edwards, I'll be honest with you. The only thing that, I guess, as a whale perspective, you're like, hey, don't you want Anthony Edwards to run his head into the wall 100 times and then one out? Yes, that's why they're 1A to my number 1. Number 2 is unbelievably Indiana. And this pains me as a team that the Heat have a lot of playoff animosity history with. I do not like their play-by-play guy, Mark Boyle, who called Miami Heat fan losers and said we didn't even deserve a team. So that one pains me. But the only reason is because I have to put them 3. I have to put them at the second, spot because 3 goes to Mark Cuban. And Dallas, and we don't have to go over the history of why I'm going to root against Dallas. I mean, it's a Mark Cuban thing. Now, I like Luka. Kyrie is incredible to watch play basketball. Derek Jones Jr., they do have a former Heater, so I definitely won't be heartbroken as much if they win, just because it is a different era. And I don't even understand, is Mark Cuban the owner of them anymore or not? I'm very confused by that. So they're number 3 just because I don't want to see that man hoisting a trophy, even though I don't even know if he's the owner anymore. Is he just the mascot? Who the hell knows? But then, of course, the team I'm rooting the most against, and I think we all are, is Boston because you guessed it, dude. They say the greatest 2 words in sports are Game 7, and I would disagree. To me, the greatest 2 words in sports are Boston. Now, you could sit here and, maybe you have some more animosity towards the Pacers or whatever. No. Least whoever wins this Game 7, that'll be the team I'm essentially rooting for winning the championship. Then it'll be Indiana. Then it'll be Dallas. And then it'll be those rat bastards from Beantown. That's my petty watch rankings for the rest of the way.